The Made by Google event introduced the following: the Pixel 7, the Pixel 7 Pro, the Google Watch or Pixel Watch, new tablet that's also going to be coming out, but not this year, next year. Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro are using new materials that are silky smooth and polished. How many people sit there and rub their phone against their face? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It feels like they're sleeping with their phone. I don't know. They really spent a little too much time on the materials. I think that was kind of a waste of time. The Google Pixel Watch is a nice new design, simple and easy, more like a regular watch with rounded corners, so it has more of a rounded face. Bezel around the outside frame portion is a little bit thick for a regular watch, so it is less of a screen size that you get. I'm gonna probably skip the Google Pixel Watch. It looks a little bit too small for a man's watch. It looks more like kind of more for a woman's watch, where for a smaller wrist. Watch band also has a great new interlocking system and design, clicks right into the band, into the watch itself. I think I like this better than other watch designs. Other watch designs usually have like a little metal bar that kind of goes across, and it kind of like is very flimsy in comparison. This is actually, looks like it's more of a solid connection and a little easier to change the band and switch it out. The color choices are specifically chosen to be minimalist in design, but deliver enough contrast to stand out. I like the colors. I think they're okay. I think that they're not too harsh. I think that the colors are perfectly fine. I don't think there's really anything more to say about colors, except there are a few choices. I have a feeling also mostly people are still gonna pick black and silver. They also have some sort of like gold looking thing. I wouldn't say rose gold because I don't think it's actually rose gold, but it looks kind of like gold, rose gold. I'm not much of a watch guy myself, so I don't wear a watch. The people that do wear watches will probably like that design. It does look more like a regular watch. It doesn't have a square look to it. It has a more redefined circle look to it. The new tablet from Google. The new tablet is not released yet. It won't be releasing until 2023. They are making a dock for the actual tablet, which I really like. I like the magnetic dock that it looks like it's very easy to just dock it, leave it at home, work with it hands-free. And then when you want to take it, to watch a movie or whatever you want to do with it, you can easily just take it right off the magnetic base really easily without a lot of fuss. I think that's going to be the really big game changer when it comes to their current devices. They also right now currently have a Nest Hub as well as a Nest Hub Max. I have seen the Google Hub devices. I do like them, but they are permanently connected to the stand. It doesn't actually disconnect from the stand, so you can't use it like a regular tablet. It kind of competes with the Amazon Show, where they don't have an actual tablet. It looks like a display. I do like the fact that they're using the tablet and the stand combined, so at least now you can use it as two different devices, not just a device that sits on a desk, but something that you can take with you. This, I think, will be a better solution going forward, and I think it'll definitely replace the Nest Hub Max and the Nest Hub itself. I don't think they're going to keep the other line when you've got a tablet that can disconnect, because it's kind of the same idea. I just do like it better for the fact that it is something that can separate. More details will be coming about that in 2023. There are no pre-orders on the new tablet. The Material U is also going to be part of the tablet, allowing you to customize more of the Android experience, allowing you to customize your colors, as well as your lock screen and a bunch of other stuff. The Material U has been around for a little bit, so this is not something that's really new, but it's nice to see that they're still following through with it. The next item is the new Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7 Pro. The new look is still very minimal. It's still kind of like the old look. It's just a little bit updated. They're still sticking with the same kind of color scheme. They're not changing that too much. The new phones do have smaller bezels and a higher peak brightness. The higher peak brightness will help you with things like being outside and being able to read your phone a little bit more clearer. It will also allow for ultra dimming as well, getting down to the low blacks a little bit sooner, so when you're inside and you're in low light situations, you can still have that, automatically dim down and not kill your eyes. The new battery is also supposed to last 72 hours on extreme battery saver mode. I'm gonna be honest, no one puts their phone on extreme battery saver mode. I don't think 72 hours is gonna be the realistic battery life, so expect about 24 hours to 48 hours of battery life, depending upon usage and as well as the apps that you have loaded. The more social media apps you have loaded, the more your battery life is probably going to diminish, just because those apps are constantly checking for notifications. We really should talk about real use scenarios. Cameras on the back of the phone and the front were upgraded with a larger sensor for better low light photography selfies. I don't use my camera a lot on my phone. I don't actually like my camera phone. I don't have a Pixel either. I have a Motorola Edge phone, which is still Android, but I don't take that many photos. I'm gonna guess that this is gonna work better. I might actually see if we can pick up one of these phones so that we can actually do a quick test and see what they are compared to the competition, and see if that really does hold true. They also centerized the lens on the actual device itself. I think it looks good. I think it's fine. It's very small. It's out of the way. It's not like the dynamic island on the iPhone where like it takes up a whole section bar of your entire phone. It takes up a very, very small amount of the screen. So if you're watching a video or if you're going to even just take a photo, it's not so in your way. Pixel 7 has 2 cameras on the back of the phone. The Pixel 7 Pro has 3 cameras on the back of the phone, upgrading the telephoto and the ultra wide cameras on the Pro. Again, I am not a professional photographer. I don't spend a lot of time with photos on my phone. If I really want a really nice photo, I'd still take out a regular camera with a real lens, just because I know that I'm going to get a better depth of field for most of those photos compared to something that's a really small lens. They have gotten better over the years. Again, I really want to try this out just to see how much of a difference it is between this phone that's priced decently over something that is like a Motorola, where the Motorola is kind of in the same price range, and see if there's really a big difference in the way it does take a photo. The software has also changed drastically on Android. And with the new Pixel, you're getting basically the new software from Google. Guided frame, it's a new technology that helps people that are blind or low vision users. In other words, people that really can't see the screen too well, to better give them audio cues on how to take a better photo. It'll tell you something like along the lines of taking a photo, and then it'll tell you to move the camera into a certain position to have the subject in a better position for better lighting or better photography in itself, or to make sure that it's actually taking a photo of actually you. If you are blind, that would be really a hard thing to do. They do show a demonstration of a blind person actually taking a selfie, which I find very remarkable, and I think that that's something that is kind of cool, that is different than any other phone manufacturer at the current time. They talked about video stabilization. Again, I don't do a lot of video recording on my phone, so I don't know how well I would do with stabilization compared to somebody else, but they are showing a much better side-by-side imagery with the new stabilization of concentrating more on getting the shot than worrying about your hand moving within the shot. The new technology will also keep the video from bumpy films, so if you're a very shaky user, you can still get some pretty decent video out of it. The new processor is going to be the G2, which is the next generation chip for both of their phones and some of the other hardware. It includes AI machine learning, which now runs 60% faster than the previous chips and 20% more efficiency than the other previous chips. They talked about how G2 also offers a lot of security. I'm going to have another video about security because that's a whole nother long topic, but they are processing more on your phone now at this point, and that is better than sending information to a server for processing. Google Assistant upgrades now include better speech to command recognition for better communication in texting, calling, or even sending funny emojis. I would like to see how this works. I use Google Assistant a lot, especially for my car, in my car, or even just having my phone on my desk. I'll use it for something very, very random and simple. Maybe a search, maybe calling somebody, sending a text. The Android Auto connection into my car, I would have to say, has been one of the worst experiences I've had on certain days. Like, it'll just have a bad day and it won't be able to pick up my voice, or it won't be able to understand me clearly, or sometimes it doesn't even respond. That's been a really bad experience for me, but it's been off and on. I have submitted my feedback a few times to Google about Google Assistant. It pissed me off so much that I literally had to sit there and write a nice nasty comment about how it didn't pick up my voice correctly. If you use it every day, you kind of get more annoyed at the aspect of it when it doesn't do something right more than when it does. Connected not into Google Auto, just using the regular phone, Google Assistant works pretty well. It's when I go into the auto portion that I feel like it doesn't really handle things as smoothly as it should, especially replying to text messages on Google Assistant within Google Auto is a little bit tricky. So I'm hoping that this is going to improve. Google can now translate any audio messages you receive almost instantly at a push of a button. I don't have many people sending me audio messages or even video messages. I would like to see if this works. I'm going to probably try it out. Maybe it might be a cool thing to do. Most people will send me a text. Most people will just hit the little button and then let Google translate it for you as you speech to text. It just works. I think this might be just using the same thing, except it's just taking the WAV file or MP3 file or whatever it is and reading back that information and then putting it back to text. So I think they already had this. It's just, I think that now that it's going to be on the phone itself, which might make it a little quicker and faster to work with. There is a recorder app that they've now separated speaker identification on. Like if you're recording a conversation and there's, let's say, multiple parties involved, you have 2-3 people. So the new recorder app basically identifies everybody that's speaking, and it'll actually identify who's speaking at that time and then put a transcription of that person's conversation, and it'll also label them in that transcription. So you know who's speaking at what time. That I think is pretty awesome to have, because sometimes I have to play back my transcriptions, especially if I'm talking to a customer and I want to get all of the information, and sometimes I'll record that conversation just so I don't have to take notes. And this is a little bit faster than having to take notes. It also saves some time on having to actually retype out the notes every time. So this I think is going to be a really good app. I don't know about you, but I get a lot of spam calls. I mean, I get about 15 a day at least. And not just on my cell phone, but my business phone as well. I think that anything to kind of reduce this would be a lot better. They are now doing something where they are trying to identify it if it's a spam call and auto answer the call for you, and then ask the person what the purpose of the phone call is. I think that anything to help that situation is better. Plus, this might also eliminate a lot of problems with people getting tricked by spam callers. Social engineering attacks do happen, and that would be one of those problems where this could eliminate a lot of those issues by having that automatically answering the phone, so that the person doesn't get disturbed, first of all, and then second of all, they don't give out any information that they're not supposed to be giving out. Direct My Call is also kind of new. It helps you navigate your phone systems without having to press buttons on the phone. This was kind of in the last developer conference, I think they had this, where I'm not sure if they actually pushed this, but it sounds like they're pushing it now. When you call up a business and you have a IVR or digital receptionist that is answering the phone, and you have to push a button to go further in the system, it will now list out those choices on the phone for you. I do like that, because after calling a bunch of different larger companies, you end up spending a lot of time wasted just listening to the prompts, maybe once, twice, maybe even 3 times. And sometimes the person that they put on for the prompt is might have an accent or something that's very hard to understand. So I think that this makes it a little bit easier for people that are also having a hard time hearing that person or understanding that person. Now for the more fun part of the video, the pricing for the Pixel 7. So the Pixel 7 Pro is going to be $899. The Pixel 7 is going to be $599. This is the same pricing from last year for the Pixel 6 pretty much. So the pricing I think is fine. The only problem I have with it is that I can't justify the Pixel 7 Pro at $899 because of the higher camera. As a person that doesn't use the camera very often, I don't see myself buying a Pixel 7 Pro. I would probably go with the Pixel 7 just to save the extra few $100, because I won't really use any of the higher end camera features. To give you an example of what I'm currently using, I'm currently rocking an old Motorola Edge edition. It's unlocked, it's very old. It's not the newest Motorola Edge. It's like, I think the 2019 or 2020 version, which is really, really old in the aspect of phones. It does have the newest version of Android still on it. It does work just the way I need it to work for an everyday use. I don't think there's much more to say about that. I want to compare this basically to my Motorola Edge, because the Motorola Edge is pretty cheap. And that's the reason why I bought it. Plus, it has very minimal bloatware or any other kind of apps or programs installed. It just has a few little Motorola apps which are perfectly fine, and you can actually disable them. So it makes your Android experience much more enjoyable when the phone works a lot faster, when it has more available RAM. But not just talking about my phone, what phone are you guys rocking? Which one are you working with on your daily basis? What's your daily driver for your phone? I would like to really know, because I'd like to get a little poll going on, like, do you guys use iPhone? Do you use Android? If you are using iPhone, give me a model number. I'm curious, are you guys using the most newest iPhone, or are you okay with 2 generations back and you don't really want to change to the new one? Also, same thing for Android. Are you working with a Pixel? Are you working with a Samsung device? Are you working with a Motorola device? I mean, there's a lot of them. So I would really like to know, and I would like to know in the comments. So please be sure to comment below. Let me know about this. I really am curious. I may set up an actual poll to see who has Android and who has iOS, and to see which one's more popular with you guys. I think Android is more popular for me, but that's because I'm using it. Don't really own an Apple device when it comes to an iPhone. So I'm just curious why you would go one over the other. Google security, they mention secure by default, private by design, you're in control. A company that makes a majority of their money basically selling your data is telling you that you're in control of your data. Now, to some degree you are, but you also need to go online to be able to downgrade these settings, because the default settings are very public. And by public, I don't mean public like, oh, public to your friends. I mean public to Google. Again, we're going to have another video that's going to go really deep into Google accounts and how to set up your Google account to maybe give a little more privacy for yourself and less information to advertisers and stuff like that. But again, that's another video. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But they also did mention the security updates and privacy, going to offer you 5 years of security updates guaranteed for the Pixel. This means that you have a phone for 5 years that's guaranteed to be updated and patched. 5 years is not a bad thing for a phone. I don't know if a lot of people keep their phone for 5 years. That's another discussion I would love to have, to find out how long you keep your phone for. Kind of switch my phone out when the battery starts to go. They have also updated the digital well-being app. It's also processing more of your health data directly on the device. The digital well-being app now has an option to allow you to record your sleep. So you can have a sleep pattern that is now being recorded and then analyzed locally on your phone. It's looking for things like snoring, it's looking for coughing, it's looking for times you wake up at night, just to give you kind of an idea of what your quality of sleep is and how you can try to remedy that to get better sleep. At one part of the presentation, Google reminds us of all the new features that they've had first before iOS. It's kind of a little stab at Apple on this section, and they're talking about crash detection and safety check and emergency sharing, and how they implemented that all 3 years ago and stuff like that. That's wonderful. I mean, it's just not really necessary. We don't need, you know, if you already had it, we already knew it, it's fine. You know what I mean? I don't think this is something that anybody cares for. Well, I think everybody in the audience just kind of laughed and we moved on from it. They're also mentioning that to help better protect your web browsing, they're also going to include VPN. For the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro users, it's going to be considered free. The VPN doesn't actually protect you against everything. It's just protecting you from your ISP. It doesn't protect you from Google reading all of your searches or reading any of the information that you're sending back and forth, because what they're doing is they're just encrypting your data across, but they're encrypting it to one of their servers. They're trying to also say that they're going to disconnect you from your Google identification and have it less tracking involved with that. I don't know how true that is. We'll have to see how true that is, because when you search online, you are attached to your Google profile, you are attached to your Google search, and anything that you do search. This is again something that we'll have to see how it works and if it really does work. Google also mentioned of their products being mostly made of recycled materials. They have a goal set for net zero emissions by 2030. Data centers will also be 24/7 carbon-free energy by 2030. I think this is a really important thing to be throwing back in the presentation. I think this is something that we all need to be concerned about. I'm not agreeing to go out there and hug a tree or something, but I am saying that this is kind of important because if we ignore it, we will end up with more problems. But this is also a good savings for them as well. Going more green saves you green. I mean, it's just the way it works. So, you know, for them, they obviously see that and they are trying to do that by 2030. Current data centers, I think, are actually very much close to carbon-free already. They're already using a lot of solar, wind, and a whole bunch of other things. They actually have a whole bunch of videos. I might actually put some videos in the description if you guys are really interested in that, where they have full like walkthrough tours and they explain like how they get their energy and where they store their energy and what generators they have for backup and how the generators work. A few apps that they went over were Live Translate, Magic Eraser, and Realtone. A lot of these were already in the Pixel 6a, but they're now keeping it still in the Pixel 7, which is fine. Magic Eraser is another feature that is built into the Pixel Android OS that allows you to erase distracting items out of your back of your picture. If you have a picture that has a lot of stuff that you don't want in the picture in the background, you can actually select that item on your Pixel device and it'll actually remove it from the background, allowing you to have a very clear photo without so many distracting things in the background. I've seen this work already. This has been kind of on the Pixel 6a as well. New, I'm going to say AI technology is not entirely new. This has been around also with Photoshop as well. This is something that works okay, but it does offer some weird results sometimes if you look closely at the photo. In other words, if you, let's say, take somebody out of the background and then you zoom into that one spot where that person was removed, and let's say the AI didn't have enough information on the photograph to replace that person with the actual thing that might have been behind that person, it'll look a little blurry. You can kind of see that it was done, but from afar it actually looks perfectly fine. So I think it's kind of cool just to have it, but I don't think it's for a professional photographer or something like that. I would recommend still bringing your photo into something like Photoshop, or there's a whole bunch of other programs that do this, by the way, that allow you to basically erase things from the background a little bit more cleaner than what they're doing. But for something that is just on a phone, right there, ready to go, it's great. It does work. They also have Live Translate. Live Translate was also on the Pixel 6a, where you can actually use your camera on one side, use that to take either a photo or even just look at it with Live Translate and be able to click the button. It'll actually translate it from one language into another language. You would also be able to select what language it was and then what language it's going to be. I have used Live Translate before on someone else's phone. It is pretty neat. It is pretty quick. As long as you have good cell service, it works really well. If you're on Wi-Fi, even better. It does work very quickly on Wi-Fi. We now have new Google stores. They're opening up one already in Brooklyn. I was very close to the event where it was taking place. The address and street map I will just put on screen. If you guys are interested in going there, you can go there and check out these devices specifically. If you're looking to get a Google Watch or even the Pixel phone, since they did change a lot of things about these devices, you may want to go visit the store in person, you know, get a real feel for it. Putting all over the place, but they are definitely in New York. They're in the Brooklyn area. Again, I'll post the address and I'll also put it in the comments below just so you guys have it. And I'll put a little map link so you can, you know, if you want to go there, you can check it all out. Please like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, do all the little YouTube things that you do. Comment below if you're back in this video, if you want to go with an Android device, or you're going to go with an Apple iOS device. After this, are you just totally confused and want to go back to the old days and just throw your phone out the window? Please let me know.